All right, everybody, welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back for another week, and I'm glad that you did. And I think you're going to be glad too. We've got another awesome guest on our hands. At this point, you guys ought to be giving us the biggest pats on our backs. You know what I mean? You guys have to be enjoying this, especially at the local level, but then regionally and nationally. I mean, we're going to be knocking it out of the park nonstop. And we have a great guest on our hands. He is a comedian. He's a ring announcer. He is, I don't know, he's just a really funny guy. And honestly, I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. He's my chiropractor too. And and he just happens to be a real doctor. I don't care what any of you people out there say about chiropractors. He's the real deal. So let's bring him on right now. Doc Peterson, how the heck are you?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. Always a good time.
Yeah, man. Welcome to Scratch the Vinyl. You know, I had you on my other show where we talked about everything from the supernatural to all sorts of weird stuff, comedy, whatever. But this show is more of a music show, but we're kind of delving in, like dipping our toes into the comedy side because Randy, our other host, who I'm going to bring on right now, he used to book a lot of comedy acts. So Randy, Mr. Chill, how the heck are you, bud?
I'm doing excellent today. A great day for the podcast and Scratch the Vinyl. And it's great to see Jeremy Doc Peterson in the house with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then we've got the lady with the red lips. She identifies as a non-witch, but depending on the day that you meet her, she could be one. We got Brooke Johnson, everybody. Brooke, what's up?
Hey guys, how are you? Hey Doc, I'm so happy you're here. Hey, I like your your curtain in the back.
This is in my kitchen, my dining room table. So I thought I would bring out the red background just to match your lips a little bit.
Hell yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing your research. I appreciate that.
Might wrap myself in it like a cape and ask for a ride in your hearse.
Hell yeah. You can. Yes. And then we can go to the cemetery and you could jump out and be like, I'm here to get you and scare some people. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Are you accusing Brooke of being a vampire, Jeremy?
Not at all, man. I've seen some pictures of a hearse possibly somewhere. And I'm down. I want to ride. Let's go.
Let's do it. I've had him in my driveway for a while and my neighbors think I'm freaking crazy. And one day one of them comes out and they're like, oh, well, hey, that's pretty cool. And I go, yeah, he's real quiet though. So he won't bug you. And I pointed to the back and he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, no, we're just going to leave him in there for a while. It'll be just like a week. I mean, he's
good.
Yeah. And he go out back in his house. And I was like, whoops. Yeah.
I would happily lay on the sidewalk behind your hearse with a like a tarp over me. Just lay there for a couple hours and see how many cops came by.
Do it. I think maybe like before one of your shows, that could be like your intro. Like, I mean, I don't know. We're just throwing.
I hope the audience is a little more lively than a bunch of dead people. But yeah, okay.
Well, there won't be any heckling.
That's a dream of mine, Brooke. When are you going to hook me up with the guy with the hearse? I want to do a ghost tour here in Lincoln where I take people around and I show them to all these locations and give them the, color commentary as we do while I dress up next to a skeleton. When is that going to happen?
Anytime. This dude is pretty cool. He literally is like, hey, if you ever want to use it, one of my regulars for his Halloween stuff for his decorations, he got to use one and he had it for about a month. So whenever you want it, he even asked me if we wanted to use one and put Scratch the Vinyl on the side of it. And I was like, well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, whenever you want.
I actually like that idea. I think we should.
Sounds like a good sponsorship thing.
Yeah,
right? we get a sponsorship, throw it on the side of the hearse.
We could totally dress up like the Ghostbusters or something on and show up at these concert and events, and Bustin' makes us feel good.
I love it.
Let's shift gears here. Let's talk to Doc about what the heck you've been doing. You've got your hands in a lot of different things right now, and you're doing at a pretty high level. So let's start talking about that right now. What do you got going on, and what are you doing right now?
Ooh, that's a loaded ass question right there. So I've been doing a lot of voice acting stuff lately. I work for a company called Enchilada Radio, and I'm not allowed to say exactly what I do, but if you listen to morning shows, you've likely heard actors like me on the morning shows. So I do that, anywhere between 1 and 3 times a week for syndicated shows all over the country. Of course, I am doing the comedy stuff. My next one, if I get to tout that out, is January 11th right here in Lincoln, Nebraska at the Complex, which is the old Champions Fun Center out there on Cornhusker Highway. They bought it, they gutted it, they turned it into a big event space, which leads me to my latest adventure, which is I started doing professional ring announcing for boxing and MMA. And they have hosted 6 or 7 events out there in the last year. And I've been the ring announcer for all but one. And they're packed, over 1,000 people, 1,500 people in there for every fight. It's a different rush than doing comedy, but in some facts, and it's actually easier in some ways. Even though the crowd is way more rowdy, way louder, it's actually easier than comedy, believe it or not.
So when you're doing ring announcing, I mean, is it hard for you, or is it just a natural next step? I mean, you're obviously a public speaker and performer as a comedian, but it's got to be fun to just get up there, do your thing, and then witness them beating the crap out of each other and the whole pageantry of the event anyway.
It is very cool to see that. And they're doing it at a very, very high level here at the complex. So I'm very blessed that they came to me and asked me to do it and said they were the ones that thought I would be good for it. It wasn't like I went out searching for it or seeking out that job. For me, it's easy to grab a microphone and talk to people. Some people, you get them a microphone and you put them in front of 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, and they just freeze. But for me, it's always been easy. And so, yeah, I roll with it. I have a good time when I'm up in that cage or in that boxing ring.
So, Jeremy, the place is called the Complex?
Yeah, they call it the Complex. They bought the whole thing from Champions Fun Center. So that old go-kart track is still back there. I'm still begging the owner to let me take my mini bike out and rip ass around back there. The batting cages, the mini golf, all that stuff. I think they're going to develop a lot of that stuff again so that it's a complex of fun. But right now they're really focusing on that event space. So it's everything from a boxing arena that seats 1,800 people to MMA, which is about 1,500. They've done some wedding events in there where they take everything out and decorate it. And this isn't like a half-ass kind of thing. They go all out. This is a really, really high-end venue here in Lincoln. So it's pretty cool to be a part of it.
And that's got to be roughly around 16th and Cornhusker, correct?
Yeah, right over there around 16th and Cornhusker.
My son's starting to do some MMA and boxing, and he hasn't had his first fight yet. But
how do you feel about that, Mama?
Well, you know what? If I was the announcer, I'd say, you know what? Up next is Evan, and oh shoot, he has to go home. Sorry, guys, there's not going to be a show here.
I'll work on that. Yeah, if he gets on one of the shows that I'm announcing, I'll just say, and in the blue corner, Evan's mommy actually says he has to go home. I'm sorry, guys. Here's a koozie. I don't know what to tell you. Give us 15 minutes.
He would literally probably dance off the stage because he's a hilarious kid. But then he'd be like, Mother, that wasn't funny. But I think it'd be pretty cool if he would announce his first fight sometime. And technically, I'm excited for him. He's a talented dude, but I want you could say something pretty funny.
I wouldn't be. I'm usually not too funny in the ring. I'm a little more serious. It's a little more pageantry and all of that. But I have developed my own little catchphrase because you can't say, let's get ready to rumble. That's trademarked. You say that in a ring and you're going to owe somebody about $125,000 for saying that.
Man, to have to like really think about what you're saying, because I've heard of people, cussing on the radio or doing things. And like when we were on the radio, if you said certain things, they would get fined. I mean, automatically. And you really got to be careful. And see, in my brain, I'd be like, let's get ready. Oh God, rumble. It's awkward, but that's pretty cool. I want to see you do it. In fact, I may have seen you do this before because I have a few friends that do it. I probably didn't even, who knows, maybe I had too many cocktails. I don't know.
I do have a very eclectic set of coats that I've purchased for every single suit coats. So I am like a brightly colored 250-pound disco ball when I'm standing in the middle of that ring. And it's been fun. It's been a fun adventure.
I'm obviously jealous of the jackets. Like that's the thing that I was missing when I was performing all the time is like every set coming back with like a James Brown style jacket. You know, like could you imagine, man? Like you're living the dream, my friend.
It's fun. I ordered a jacket for this fight like 2 months ago. My wife surprised me with a pair of shoes that, oh my God, the suit coat was black velvet with silver paisley stripes, like obnoxious as you can imagine, right? And she ordered me these sparkly silver shoes, like throwback to almost Michael Jackson-ish style. Somebody asked me, they're like, okay, if you got ruby slippers and you click your heels together 3 times, you end up in Kansas. What happens if you click your heels together 3 times? And I'm like, you end up in a strip club in Vegas, baby. That's what happens when you put silver sparkles together.
So what did you guys at the, when you're talking to the guys at the complex and different places, I guess, that you're around, what are people saying about that sham of a fight that we were subjected to with our good friend Mike Tyson, right? What on earth was that?
That is a current embarrassment to everybody in the fight game, I think. Honestly, there are a few people that think that it brought attention, and attention is good attention, right? Good or bad. So there are those that believe that way. If they're talking about the sport, that means they're paying attention to the sport. The other large faction of people are like, we all saw Mike Tyson pull punches. We all saw him load up, get ready to knock that dork out, and went, oh, nope, not going to do it. So I think that's where the overwhelming majority of people sit today is, no, it was a joke.
Well, it did get kids watching boxing. I'll say that. This is the only time ever that I've sat in a living room with my kids all night and we're all excited about boxing. I boxed as a kid, so I'm always excited about boxing. But watching that, I mean, the other fights were great. It was fantastic to watch. But then you get to this, which is the thing you've been waiting for. And you could tell anyone who's watched Mike Tyson, I don't care how old he is, how crippled he is. Okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying in general, right? He was pulling punches, and anyone who watches boxing knows that he was pulling it, and he would have killed him in the first round if he had his chance. Easy.
He had multiple opportunities to take him out, and he didn't. And so, yeah, I've talked about that. I've also done some pay-per-view broadcasting, and we talked about it on air where it was a joke. It was a payday for everybody. But like you mentioned, some of those other fights were fantastic on the card. There was a women's championship bout that had the most viewers ever for a women's championship bout, period, hands down. And I'm all about that. Like, let's bring viewers, let's bring the money, let's do all that. But let's put a product on the end there.
I agree that women's fight was one of the best ones for sure. And I think that's why then the bout afterwards was kind of a letdown, because like they had us build up ready to go. And it was just like, holy cow, this is just not going any way we thought it might go. Good or bad.
Right. Now my 13-year-old daughter thinks that she's going to box after watching that. And then being at the complex, we have a handful of professional women's fighters that have been on some bouts. And now she wants to start throwing hands. And I'm like, out of my 3 kids, she'd be the one. She'd definitely be the one.
Even though you could stick your full finger in the cut of the one chick, like that was outrageous. I mean, that's boxing. I mean, granted, the cut men in these sports, I mean, those are the real heroes. Those are the ones that are stitching them, not stitching them, but just throwing Vaseline on them and getting them out there and keeping them from basically bleeding to death out there.
Yeah. No, she still wants to do it. And we'll see when basketball season's over what happens, but that's where I'm at. I did it to myself.
Well, let's move on to comedy. We definitely want to talk to you about comedy. I know Randy with In the Queue with Mr. Chill has got a lot of big things planned, and he's gonna probably be bringing on possibly some comedians, and he used to book and do all these things. And I don't want to waste the juice. I want Randy to kind of talk to you about. I can't wait to hear what you guys say with each other. But how long have you been? For the listeners on this show, people who have listened on my other show, they've heard some of the things we've said. But on this show, how long have you been doing comedy? And how long have you been kind of like booking acts through all of that?
So I started comedy 4 years ago. It was nothing more than a moment where my wife said, "Put up or shut up. I'm tired of watching your friends drown on stage and I can't do it anymore." So she said, "Up your bar tab or go up and make an ass out of yourself and entertain me." And so with a week's notice, I did a 5-minute open mic set. When I got off the stage, the owner, who I'd never met in my life, I didn't know him, he came up and asked if I wanted a spot in a competition that was a week away. Of course, I agreed. I had just come off stage for the first time. I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And then he goes, "Okay, great. Now I need 10 minutes of material for next Saturday." So that was a shock because I barely wrote 5 for the open mic. And I went out and performed that night. What they didn't tell me was that they were going to bring the top 3 contestants back on stage for a 5-minute encore. So I'm back in the green room going through my notes on my phone, freaking the hell out because I barely had 10 minutes, much less an encore. But as it goes in comedy, luckily for me, the guy that was in third place when the voting ended, he got up on stage. He had been out in the parking lot smoking pot for about a half hour. So he just bombed and they booed him off stage. So by default, I automatically was at least in second. And then I did my set. It went okay. It went well. But the guy that won it, he'd been doing comedy for 10 or 15 years plus, living the struggling entertainer life, delivering pizzas and doing stand-up comedy on the side. So he won. He deserved it. He was funny. I guess look where I am now, right?
So did you go to many of the workshops in town, or was there one specific you went to and started working on your material?
So that's a double-edged sword for me. I'm glad you asked that question because the Lincoln market and the Omaha market are vastly different, very, very different in talent-wise and in their own originality. The Lincoln market is very, very close knit. They are all friends. They all support each other like nobody's business. I don't think any of them are funny. This is going to hurt some feelings. They already hate me anyway, so whatever. I don't think they're funny. They do their open mics at bars that most people who want to sit down for a high quality comedy show wouldn't ever enter. And so that's strike 2 against them. And then they all just sit and pat each other on the back. They don't ever really go after each other and go, "Look, that wasn't very good. You got to work on that." Everybody's awesome. Everybody has a touchdown. Everybody has a home run when they come off stage. And so I quickly distanced myself from that because that's not for me. If you're not pushing yourself, then you're not going to get better. And after 5 years or even 2 years, if you're not getting paid to get on stage, even for a 10-minute set, what the hell are you doing? Get better or go away.
Now they used to have a really good workshop at the Funny Bone up in Omaha on Wednesday nights. Is that something you participated in?
No, they don't do a workshop anymore. The Backline is a big theater up in Omaha, and that's where the really, really tight-knit group of comedians in Omaha like to congregate and hang out. They do some workshops there. My biggest thing with not doing the workshops was, why go to a workshop being taught by somebody who's not in the place that I already made it to? If you're not getting paid to do comedy and perform it in front of hundreds of people, why go take advice from somebody who isn't there yet? So for workshops, no. And open mics, I do them very, very sparingly. I don't tell anyone I'm coming. I drop in, I do my 5 minutes, I'm working on brand new material, and then I get out. That's just how I do it.
I totally understand. It's been over 10 years for me now to be part of that scene. But for many years, we did have a very nice talent base that was, working some of the workshops and doing really honestly Duffy's on Monday nights. I was doing a improv workshop on Wednesdays and Thursdays for stage time for people. But the hardcores that started originally at Duffy's, there were some really good guys, and we worked a lot of those guys. And so they had kind of an incentive to kind of build up their material. Literally just what you were saying is because you want to get paid. The more material you could build and you could get up from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to a half hour, you start getting paid, not just as an opener, but you could start getting feature money. And by the time you could build up a good hour, then you could start getting paid. And so unfortunately, I know exactly what you mean. I started to see that kind of click, that they were just maybe only doing it for free drinks and they weren't taking it serious. And I saw that talent drop off. And obviously once I kind of got out of the business, I haven't really paid honestly that much attention to it. So, but I would love to be encouraged to see, if there's still some good talent going on in town. And that's kind of why we want to bring this up here on Scratch the Vinyl, because we're really promoting local entertainment for the most part. And being part of comedy was one of the best things that I thought, making people laugh is what I think is one of the best forms of entertainment that you can offer. So I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're doing well with it.
I appreciate it. I do work with a lot of comics out of Omaha when I do my bigger regional shows and things like that. So we are definitely still supporting a lot of the local comedians that are putting in the effort and putting in the work to put on a high quality product. It's just that I'm really, really picky, and that has burned me with some of the Lincoln market, unfortunately. I shouldn't say Lincoln market, some of the Lincoln locals.
All right. It's that magical special time of the show where we like to talk about our sponsors, run some commercials, and give you guys the gift that keeps on giving with all these awesome ads, places to go, people to see, and things to do. So stick around. Don't fast forward through these. And then when we return, we'll have more with our guest, Doc Peterson. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready to rumble with the Ultimate Beard Care Showdown. Introducing our headliner, the one, the only, Squatch.
Oh yeah, Mean Jim. Squatch in the house, and I'm here to tell you about beard products that'll make your whiskers the talk of the town. If your beard's ready to take on the world, you need the power of our beard balms, butters, and oils, brother.
That's right, Squatch. Let's kick things off with the Beard Balm of Legends.
This beard balm is like a body slam for your beard. It tackles those wild hairs and smooths them out, making your beard look like $1,000,000. No sweat, brother.
What's the scoop with the beard butter?
Oh, brother, it's a game changer. This butter makes your beard softer than a cloud and as easy to manage as a well-oiled wrestling machine. Plus, it's got a scent that's as sweet as victory. Oh, yeah.
And let's not forget the beard oil.
The beard oil is the final knockout punch. It hydrates, shines, and smells like a championship belt made of cedar and pine. Your beard will be the 1, 2, 3 of any match.
Where can our fans score these unbeatable products?
You read my mind, brother. Head on over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and grab your beard gear. And listen up. Use the code SUPERSHOW and get a jaw-dropping 20% off. That's right, 20% off. Your beard's about to go from 0 to hero, brother.
That's elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and use your code SUPERSHOW for 20%. Don't wait, make your beard the ultimate champ today. Ahoy, mateys! Christopher Columbus here. You know me. I discovered America, or at least that's what the history books have been saying for years. Anyways, I have a little confession to make. My compass quit halfway through the trip, and I got lost at sea on the way there.
Ahoy, Captain. What direction should we point the boat?
Shut up, you fool. I'm in the middle of a commercial here. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yes. When we arrived on land there, the natives were all decked out in their cool Viking gear. They said these big, smelly, bearded guys came, hung out, then split with all their cool stuff.
Aye, it was a weird day.
That could have been our cool stuff. We could have claimed all this great treasure and all this pirate's plunder.
But, sir, how will we steer the boat if we don't have a compass?
Well, this next trip is going to be different. I'm heading to Slying Tattoo to get a compass on my hand. After that, everything is coming up Christopher Columbus.
Ahoy, sir. That new ink looks great on you. After I swaps the poop deck and grease the hootenannies, I think we're gonna be back to sped and... Oh, no.
What is it now, you buffoon?
It appears as if America's shores are just on the horizon.
What? How could this be? I've been pointing my arm in the same direction for days. Well, looks like this tattoo compass is broken too. Guess I'll have to head back to Sly Ink for that dolphin lower back tattoo I've been wanting to get. Well, looks like our native friends are waving us in, but oh, wait, they don't look very happy. Well, until next time, friends, if there is one.
All right, let's hit that local roundup. Let's figure out where we're going this weekend. Gray's Keg, like always, everybody. They got a killer lineup this weekend. So let's start with Friday night. That'll be when this show comes out. You'll be running straight over there to wait in line to go see the All-Star City Blues Band at 8 p.m. That's going to be a killer show. It looks like they play a ton of different things. Blues, a little bit of country sprinkled in, some Americana, some classic rock. So go see those guys. Then on Saturday, they've got Smutty Bingo Night. What is Smutty Bingo Night, you're wondering? Well, they're partnered with Romantics, so it can't be all bad. It's free to play, but you can purchase extra cards for extra prizes. Drink specials. Prizes are of the naughty. That's right, everybody. Naughty variety. So go there and have a blast with them. Then I want to remind you guys that they have some massive shows coming up too. Vampires Everywhere is coming January 18th. Those guys are huge. I think they've got some members formerly of Ghost, and I think we missed them coming through on the 2024. So here we're going to get them in 2025 at Gray's Keg. So get over there and buy those tickets when you can. Also, put it on your calendars now. We've got the Battle of the Bands coming up. It's coming up very soon, January 24th and 25th. So you're going to want to get there for those nights and to help crown a new Battle of the Bands champion. Also, we have Matson's Bowling and Billiards. That's right. They've got another great band on the lanes this Friday night. They've got Head Change. So go over there for rock and bowl, go play some billiards, and go rock out with those guys in Head Change. Obviously, we're always going to mention Kelly's Pub. Go see Mr. Chill for karaoke. Get out there, make something happen, and have a great time, everybody. And be safe out there. Last but not least, we have Roots Music Shop. If you're looking for a last-minute gift, a white elephant, whatever, go over there, get yourself an instrument, and be the coolest guy in the room at all times. So go see Ryan, tell him that we from Scratch the Vinyl sent you. Now let's get back to our guest, comedian Doc Peterson.
Doc, I have a question for you. So, like in boxing or wrestling, or when you have just you, it's up to you to win. You still have a team behind you, but it's up to you to make that material funny. What is your process, or where do you get your material from? Is it like a personal stories? Because I know a lot of times they can be really funny how you deliver it. But I know that it's pretty difficult to get up there on your own and try to make people laugh at your shit that you probably went through that night or the night before with your family, and to deliver it. What is your process?
So the process for me is really simple. I always have my phone with me, and I have a text message that's set to myself. And if I come across a funny thought, a funny story, a situation that I think eventually can be funny, I will just hit a note and text it to myself. So I got about 800 different texts to myself. I have about 50 little sticky pads on my desk at work. And if something comes across my mind, same thing. I'll just write it out there, leave it on there. And then my wife, my poor, beautiful, lovely wife, she is my guinea pig. And she is the world's toughest critic. Unless I'm on the show, you do not want her in the front row. She will sit there stone-faced until you make her laugh. She's not going to be mean about it, but she's not going to give you that courtesy golf clap and laugh. She's going to go.
She's the Simon.
Yeah, she's just going to sit there. Like, make me laugh. I paid to laugh. And she wants to laugh, but you have to earn it. So if I can make her at least crack a smile at me, then I know it's good. And so that's my first line of defense for anything. Matt Rife, he's got an idea, but he goes up there and whatever the crowd gives him is what he goes with. I'm more of a storyteller. So everything that I say in or on stage is rooted in truth in real life. So to me, that makes it easier to do a longer set. It made it easier for me to get up to 30 or 40 minutes because everything I said was already rooted in truth. And then I just embellished it to make it funny in a way that I could present it to people to make them laugh. So that's a beautiful question because everybody's process is different. Some people just want to send out a zinger and a one-liner after one-liner with no real setup or story. And I don't really enjoy those comics myself. So that's not the style that I went after when I started writing.
Yes. Well, and I do agree, like the delivery of how you do it, because you could have 5 people do the exact same set and it's how you say it, what you do. I think everybody kind of has their own little, niche, whatever. And do you have something that you like personally think like, or when you're the announcer and you have your jackets and all that, like in comedy, do you have something that's like yours? I know a lot of comedians or I'm like, oh yeah, this lady with the funny voice or that's, do you have something that you kind of take, you're proud of?
To get ready to be Doc on stage, I've got a couple of button-down shirts that have like this leather patch on them that a buddy of mine tooled, and it says Doc on it, and the O is a vertebrae. And so, like, when I put that on, I know I'm that persona for the next however many hours I got to be that guy. My wife also braids my hair in like this Viking braid whenever I take the stage. So when she starts doing that before a show, it's like the light switch. It's the backwards hat in that movie with Sylvester Stallone where he's the arm wrestler. Like, you put that on and I'm that guy now.
And a lot of sports athletes, people that get up on stage from bands, comedians, anybody that gets up, you have this ritual. You have something that really makes you get pumped up, and backwards hat, you got your Doc. I can't wait to go see you perform. I was going to go to the Bourbon and something came up and I couldn't go, but I absolutely am so excited to go see you perform. I've seen your videos and stuff, but I want to see you live. I want to sit by your wife and I'm just going to stone cold. Just kidding. Maybe I'll come dressed just like you.
That would be even better.
Meet me in the green room, crack my back. Just kidding. Well, it's exciting. I can't wait. I love to hear other people's process and how they do things. And sometimes you just got to, wing it too. And that's hard to do.
So when somebody heckles me on stage, if I think it's going to be funny, I'll roll with it a little bit. But I'm really, really careful not to go down that road for too long, because if you lose your spot, I don't allow notes on any of the stages that I produce. I figure I'm paying you really well to be a comedian. And I've seen too many comedians that were good that stopped their whole set, looked down and went, okay. And then they kept going. And to me, that killed the entire flow of the show and all that. So yeah, there's that moment where you got to flow. And then there's that moment where you're going with your rehearsed material.
Jeremy, I'll tell you my best story. And this is probably after I was booking Comedy Central guys and Funny Bone guys that were working through the area. A lot of those guys, they've had their sets pretty set for, they basically do a lot of their same sets. If you've seen them more than once, you see a lot of the same material if you've seen them again. And this guy his name was BT out of St. Louis. And I'd worked him a few times and he was awesome. And every time he came, we always had a good show. And out of the blue one time, he called me up and he happened to be in Omaha. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, Randy, they still do that workshop down at Duffy's on Monday night?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm thinking about coming down. And would you want to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. We'll go check and see, what's going on down there tonight." And we go down, we check it out, we get to talking. And I told him, I said, "Man, I wish you would have let me know. We could have, I could have did something for you this week and could have, you could have made some money while you were here." He's like, "Well, I ain't doing anything. I'm just in town for the week." And I said, "Well, you want to do something tomorrow night?" And he's like, "Oh, are you sure?" I'm like, "Just show up." And so I get on the horn, sell 100 tickets in no time because they love that guy. He was awesome. They'd seen him before. Come down, and he shows up, and the place is packed. And he starts his act, And he starts out normal and he's doing his normal routine. And then, just like you said, he literally just took what the audience gave him and he worked that crowd for over an hour. And I probably hadn't laughed so hard. And show's over, get off. I went up to him like, man, when did you write all that new material? That was like unbelievable. He's like, Randy, I was so blown away that you had so many people show up on a Tuesday night at the Spirit of the Moment. It would just inspired me. So, dude, these guys, and I know you're the same way. What I love about most comedians is they're very accessible to the crowd. They don't mind going and out. They'll sign autographs if you want. They'll take pictures. Of course, they'll love to sell you some merchandise if they got it, because they're out there making their money. That's how they're making their living. But man, I have really enjoyed my time around comedians and what they bring for entertainment. And that story to me was a perfect example of what that means to get that stage time for a lot of guys. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. That you can sell 100 tickets overnight is awesome, especially in the Lincoln market. Omaha sells way, way better overall in most entertainment things. And the stage time is priceless. But I say that with the caveat is that it has to be quality stage time. And what you did for that guy, putting him in front of 100 people, is quality stage time. Standing in front of 13 other comedians there for an open mic night is not really quality stage time. Of those 13 comedians, 12 of them are looking at their notes, right? 12 of them are not paying attention to you at all. And so you don't get any feedback from 12 open mic comics. Maybe you get a pat on the back, but they weren't listening anyway. They were too worried about what was going to come out of their mouth in the next 10 minutes. So yeah, quality stage time, quality stage time, quality stage time.
I was fortunate enough to work with the Funny Bone people in Omaha. Ironically, they weren't worried about what we were doing in Lincoln, to be all honest with you.
They still aren't.
But what they did like was we would take their guys coming through and book their off nights. Mm-hmm. So, if you were a comic traveling through the Midwest, say going through, Omaha to Denver to whatever, well, every night you're not on stage, you're not making no money. And so I got good at booking those off nights. And so for us, it was getting a really good price to have an A quality comic. And this is exactly what you're saying. If you get known for putting A quality on stage, selling tickets isn't that hard.
No.
But if you try to do B talent all the time and try to charge that same amount, you will lose that comedy crowd in a hurry.
Very, very quickly.
You know where I think you could get some good quality stage time? Well, I'm a bartender and I can say whatever I want, whenever I want, make people laugh or pissed off, whatever. Maybe become a bartender and you can get all the stage time you want and get paid.
If I could add one more job to my life, bartending would be it. Just to get people drunk and see what kind of assholes I can make out of them. But
come to Kelly's and we'll do you can have your stage right there. And I'll just have people love laughing there most of the time. Get them drunk, make them laugh. All right, we'll
do it like the movie Coyote Ugly. I'll stand up on the bar, spray him with a little water gun and do jokes.
Please do. Yeah. Well, we had this idea one time of another friend of mine that's he's a comedian. And I said, why don't we have these little headset things where there's a microphone or something. And so you could be talking to the, your guests or the people there. And when you say something funny or when you do something, because it happens quite often, especially when you got people drinking. And so you have this little comedy show while you're actually, you're performing anyway. So why not make it super funny? And then you can say stuff that you're they're probably did she just say that to me? And I'm like, oh, it was a joke. I was just kidding.
And you're in charge, so you get to say whatever the hell you want anyway. So what are they going to do?
Would that be?
Actually, Jeremy, I think this is the idea for one of your next sets. Is that becomes your part of your act? Is now you're the comedian bartender.
If I tried to do flare bartending tricks, right? I would light my arm on fire and I would spill shit down my shirt. I would drink half the drinks. Like, oh, you ordered a whiskey sour? Well, funny thing, me too.
It'd be like me trying to be a chiropractor. All right, get on
Yeah.
on the bar. I'm gonna stand on you.
Got one really, really cheesy chiropractor joke. And I don't even do it on stage, but I'll do it for you guys. You ready? If you fart on the table, you'll shit when you get the bill. There you go.
Did I fart on the table?
Everybody farts on the table.
For all of our Scratch the Vinyl listeners, there's a freebie for you guys right there.
Oh, no sharding. Now, no sharding. That's just not allowed.
Well, listen, I used to do massage therapy for a very long time, and we would have the marathon runners, and we'd have them afterwards. And you know how many people shit their pants and they didn't even know it? And my dad was a marathon runner, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you get home and you just had crap running down your leg, but couldn't feel it." And I'm like, well, people like us had to look at it. But you don't say anything because good for them for running 9,000 miles.
First 1 hour set was called Trust Me, I'm a Doctor. And I ended it with stuff that happened in real life in the office. Of course, I put a spin on it. I protected the innocent or the guilty. But yeah, the things that people do and say behind a closed door at a chiropractor will blow your mind.
I agree, especially like massage. We did the same thing.
I know I've never been so thrilled to have a 250-pound man pushing on me while I breathe heavy. You know, I will say this. There's a difference. We were talking about funny, and Brooke brought up like funny bartenders. There is a big difference between being funny. Like, I was a class clown. I mean, I used to kill it in class. But if I got up there and told my one joke that I tried to tell a doc about, you know, I wrote one joke one time. I was a fat kid. And so I wrote a joke about, you know, wanting to get Jared back for ruining it for everybody at Subway when he was losing all that weight. But it just doesn't hit the same now because then Jared became a big pervert and he got thrown. It's just not the same thing. But so now I have to podcast to try to be funny. But there is a big difference between what we're doing, Brooke, and what Doc is doing.
Absolutely. Somebody asked me to do, they wanted me to go up and like, you should try it sometime. And I was like, nope, because I can barely remember my own birthday, let alone get up there. But I could tell a story. So I was asking about your process. That would probably be mine, is to have just stories about the bar. There's a million of them. Or my personal life, but you just kind of amplify everything, make it a little bit more extreme. I mean, you know, dramatize it. You know, this is based off a true story, dramatization, you know, and then you just.
All you got to do. It's so even in my stories or in my set, it's a specific order that makes sense to me. It might not make, no one in the audience is sitting there going, oh yeah, okay, well that happened. Obviously then this happened and then that happened. But in my life, the way that my set played out, it all happened in that chronological order. So I don't even have to worry about what's coming next because I already know that. It was my life. So if you can write that way, definitely. If you can write that way, it's easy to go.
Oh, seriously. It's like when you're on stage in a band and you have your set list, you literally just have like, when the dog shit on my wife, when my son told his teacher to, you know, ask the teacher, you know, whatever. And it's so much easier just to look down and be like, oh, here it goes. But you don't really need it because it's your life. I mean, everybody's life is funny. Even if it's morbid and weird, you can make it funny. It's just.
That's what people don't realize. Everything that I say is real. So if you just look at your own life today, I bet you have 10 things that you could write something funny in.
Absolutely. 100%.
We are a music podcast, and you're in there doing your chiropractic, straightening everybody out. What's the elevator music?
Oh, God. So my front desk gal, she'll never hear this podcast ever, so I can say this. She is the most straight-laced human being you've ever met in your life. She's like 70 years old, never married, no kids. I don't think she's ever had sex. Like, holy shit. That elevator music is exactly what I just described. And then throw in Christmas music shit on top of that. It will make you want to jump headfirst through the 12-foot plate glass windows in the front of my office.
I thought for sure you were going to tell me it was 90s grunge, for sure.
No, it would be either 80s rock, because I think I was born just a couple years too late. I should have been born a little earlier. 80s rock is my thing. And then like hard rock in the 90s, somewhere in there. But, it's really hard to relax when, you hear Pantera in the background and Doc's going off the rope and putting it down. So,
Hey, okay, so I totally have to say this. When I did massage therapy, and I told myself I can't listen to whales anymore. And you're just like, oh my God, I can't do this. And so I started telling people, if you want certain music, bring it on in. And I had guys that had like the Beatles was a big one. We listened to the Beatles doing a massage, but that relaxed him. I was waiting for the pain and being like, I don't know how this is working out, but
we'll Ride the Lightning from Metallica and start digging in there. Like, talk about releasing the muscles, the knots, and the farts all at the same time. Like, you got me right there, girl.
100%. I got it all. We have a whole plethora of all kinds of music. I will listen to whale music, I guess, even though it sounds like we call it making love. The whales making love. And it gets really old.
I think it keeps them from having a boner, doesn't it? I guess if I listened to whale music for an hour or two, I couldn't have a boner for at least a month.
The problem is though, you fall asleep and
I could find a way.
Yeah, your body naturally makes a tent, and sometimes like the 80-year-olds, they'd be like, holy crap. I'm like, good job. Okay, you need to get off the table now. He's like, well, I'm going to go tell my wife what I did. And I'm like, good for you. Oh my God, we're done with this session.
I don't know if Doc here has a PG rating for his shows, but we're definitely going to have to put some disclaimers on this episode for our younger listeners, maybe.
My shows are all 21 and over. And so they are mature and, age-wise, chronologically, they are mature enough to hear Brooke talk about mating whales and dolphin sex. You guys know what dolphin sex is, right?
Sorry.
I have it all the time, yeah.
I better not say that. I'm going to stop.
The woman that actually did, she was in love with the dolphin. You remember that story in the 90s, maybe? Or 2000?
I watched every episode of My Strange Addiction on the Discovery Channel. I even wrote a bit about it. So, yeah, I've seen the dude try humping his car and having sex with a $7,000 robot. And, yeah.
And balloons. I saw the balloon one.
People eating their own hair, random stuff.
Toilet paper. Yeah. So weird.
I do have to ask you, Doc, not to get too robotic when it comes to the show, but I mean, it is kind of the crux of the show. Randy brought up the elevator music, but what do you have in terms of your collection? I mean, you're a doctor, you're loaded, right? You got to have a bunch of vinyl sitting around. What do you got?
So I wish I had a really cool vinyl collection. My older brothers growing up had every 80s hair band on vinyl that you can imagine, from Van Halen to Motley Crue to Rat, Cinderella, all those. And I don't know where those are, man. I think I need to go through my parents' house and see if they're stuffed underneath a bed or a dresser drawer somewhere. Just not tell them, because I don't know, screw them. I want those vinyls. I'd hang them on the wall. I wouldn't even listen to them because I wouldn't want them to get screwed up. Just want them to have them because they're cool. And I remember them cranking them up when I was a kid and blasting it out to them. So now, of course, in the digital era, like everything I own is right here. And so I don't think that's as sexy. Sorry, it's not. But I'm going to listen to like probably Shinedown right now is the one that's going to get played on my phone more often than anything. There's a huge circle of 80s hair bands that are going to get thrown through every time my phone comes on.
Well, if you give Kane your top song, we will add it to the Scratch the Vinyl mix for our show.
With the Scratch the Vinyl podcast playlist on Spotify. So give me some good fuel to put in there, Doc.
The number one, every time I walk on stage, whether it's for comedy or ring announcing or anything else, they play Dr. Feelgood, Little Molly Crew.
That was going to be my question. What do you run out on stage to? Did you ever
So I didn't start doing that when I started doing comedy. Some other producer was just playing music as the comics walked up the 5 steps. And he thought it was funny and played Dr. Feelgood. And as I walked up those steps, like the adrenaline went from my toes to my heart. And I went, that's it every time from now on. And so it stuck.
Have you ever thought of maybe mating whales?
No, maybe some weird dolphin sex noises, but definitely no mating whales.
Okay. All right. Well, never mind. I had a couple CDs I was going to let you borrow, but never mind.
Well, Doc, this one, like all of them, has seemed to have flown by. I mean, it just went so fast. We had a blast. We'd love to have you back on whenever you want, but we got to kind of start wrapping the episode up here. But we do want to give you an opportunity to promote. I know you talked about your show at the complex. What else do you want to promote before we get out of here?
So January 11th is the next comedy show at the complex. You can get tickets at www.thecomplexlincoln.com. There's also a link if you find me on Facebook. It's just Jeremy Peterson. I'm on TikTok as Doc Peterson Comedy. I don't do as much on Instagram as I probably should. I know I need to be better at doing that stuff. And then I've got, I'm out in Kearney, Nebraska, February 13th. For a comedy show at Cunningham's, which is a huge music venue. So everyone that listens to this ought to know exactly where Cunningham's is. They do live bands every single weekend, but they've been bringing me out once a month or once every other month to produce shows out there. That's February 13th. And then the rest is just upcoming ring announcing boxing stuff. So big fight February 15th in Lincoln at the complex. And then I'm in New Mexico. I'm in Texas. Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff there. But yeah, for the local listeners, that big one, January 11th. Come out and check us out at the complex.
Well, I think we could probably get you a couple real clips from the show today with Brooke that you could probably add to your Instagram. Get you a few followers, maybe.
Sorry.
I'm going to definitely put little emojis of dolphins and whales just swimming across it, just like this.
I'm going to get you more.
But we definitely appreciate you coming on today and talking with us. And I look forward to getting you on our side show with Scratch the Vinyl, which I'm doing some episodes with national comedians. But I'd love to get you on in the queue with Mr. Chill and talk about more of the local scene and what's going on. And we're always willing to promote all entertainment here in Lincoln. So please don't hesitate to keep sending us that info and we'll get it out there for you.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.
And Doc, come to Kelly's. You can get behind the bar. I'll teach you how to make a drink. You teach me how to be funny.
Hey, as long as I get to get up on the bar and dance it out a little bit, I'm in.
You're absolutely, and you can do whatever you want. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you heard it here, everybody. We've scanned the entire area. We've found the best guest for you, and today was no different with our guest, Doc Peterson. Doc, thank you for being on the show. And for those of you listening at home, the millions and millions out there, come on back next week for another great episode with your favorite hosts here on
Scratch the Vinyl.